ready to survive and advance on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Survive and Advance is brought to you by BetDSI.eu. Go to BetDSI.eu, use the promo code TGT to get a 100% discount up to your first $1,000 deposit. You can also go to thegruelingtruth.com and click on the banner there and get that same deal. Also, we're brought to you by Seat Giant, which you can go to Seat Giant, use the promo code TGT to get 5% off all your tickets. So, you could get tickets to the Warriors and the Raptors, fly to Oakland, Lucas, and watch the game. I am your co-host for Survive in Advance, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my co-host, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
I'm having a great day. I'm talking to two of my best buddies. We're talking sports. We're talking a variety of sports, and we're having fun. And Lucas, thank you for joining.
Well, you're not supposed to talk about Lucas until Lucas is like Fight Club. You don't talk about him until I introduce him.
Okay. All right.
All right.
My bad.
We have Lukas Weese on the show, our Canadian friend. Lucas, my question to you is, who do you think these other two people that we're going to call is to bring in that are Risley's friends that can hang out with him during the show?
Well, I don't know if we're going to be Steve's friends after we rip him apart, Mike.
Oh, now, don't talk trash. That is not nice. It's beneath you. You're Canadian. You know, that's like I told Steve.
Oh, true.
I said,
"Oh, I'm sorry."
Would it look like the Raptors? Would it look like the Raptors were going to win it?
No. Can I say something? In Lucas' defense, I deserve trash today. I deserve trash. I deserve it.
All right.
So, bring it on,
sorry.
Lucas. I'm sorry.
No, bring it on.
This is the thing,
Canadian.
Lucas. Would it look like the Raptors were going to win it all? I said, but don't worry, Lucas will be fine because in Canada they celebrate more civilized. They'll just flip the cars over. They won't set them on fire.
Wow. I don't know. We'll have to see.
I gotta hear the answer to this one. I gotta hear your rebuttal here, Lucas. What's your rebuttal of that?
It's not a rebuttal. It's what he told me. He said we might flip the car over, but we won't set it on fire. That's why they're civilized up there.
Well, that's why Canada does everything half-assed. If you're going to flip it over, set it on fire. Why would you not do both?
All right, Risley, calm down. Okay, Risley's like the ugly American. All right, today we're going to talk NBA Finals. We're going to talk Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals tonight, first one since 2011. And then we're going to talk a little Women's World Cup, 13-0 score. Is there anything wrong with that? Let's start off with the NBA Finals, where Kevin Durant came out, played a little bit, played really well, Lucas, and then he goes down holding his right Achilles tendon. He's out. The Raptors, though, do not take advantage of that. So my thing is this. As a Raptor fan, what was your take on the way Raptors fans responded to the injury?
Well, initially they were clearly caught up in the moment. I think what's important to preface this is that these weren't all Raptors fans. I think on social media and articles after the fact, we're quick to judge all Raptors fans in this, one, swoosh of the brush. This was just a few Raptors fans. And what I really liked was that after, almost a minute after, Kyle Lowry, Danny Green calmed the crowd down. And then as Kevin Durant was leaving, they were chanting KD, KD, KD. So it was a very Canadian response overall. I think it's unfortunate that people are, and even the Golden State Warriors players are saying that Raptors fans are classless, because if this would have happened in Philadelphia, if this would have happened in New York, there's no way that the home team would be chanting KD, 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 hoping he's okay. They'd be cheering and swearing and cheering the Warriors for KD going down. And my question is this, Mike, and I'll let you and Steve talk, is what about Kawhi Leonard when he got hurt? When he got hurt in Golden State, they were cheering Kawhi Leonard. So fans are irrational. And I think we got to preface this by saying that, fans aren't the smartest. They're very much into the moment. And to me, I don't condemn the fans, because I think after the fact, initially, they They responded well. It was only a few fans who were jerks that were, cheering for Kevin Durant to be hurt.
All right, Steve, real quick. This is Jeopardy. Final question. Who is the most famous KD in Canada?
The most famous KD in Canada.
I bet
great question.
Lucas, you know this, don't you?
I don't know the answer to this question.
Lucas, you're from Canada, so if you miss this, it's really disturbing because
I'm Googling it right now. I'm Googling it right now.
Lucas, do you have an answer?
Lucas, come on, Lucas.
Craft dinner.
No. KD
famous?
Lang.
Oh, K.D. Lang. Oh, the country singer.
Of course. K.D. Lang. Yeah.
So what I think is this.
Yeah.
I think
All
the
right.
Raptor fans
no,
were
that's
still
not right. John Candy is just more famous than K.D. Lang.
But K.D. isn't. Oh boy.
Really?
No, Steve, I can't believe you just said that.
No. K.D. means what? It means what? What does K.D. mean?
It's initials.
Who's the most famous Canadian of all time?
Nobody said that. We just said
K.D. Okay, K.D. Lang. Okay, you win that one. You got that, Sport.
Okay.
You win that. You hate being called Sport. I know you hate being called Sport. I'm sorry for calling you Sport.
Don't be sorry. Be a man. All right. So, what's your take on the crowd there, Steve?
I agree with Lucas. I think it's an unfortunate situation, and I have to say, I called out Kevin Durant, and I called him a coward, and I said, this is go man up and play. The man's hurt, and he may not play for another year now. He may not be able to play.
He may never be the same when he does play.
Same ever as again, yeah. And so, for that reason, this is not fun for me. I think the guy gave it all his best effort. I think this is a great series. I hate what happened to him, and I don't like anybody calling him out for trying to go play. I agree with Lucas. It was a few people. It wasn't the whole world doing it, and let's just hope he heals.
So my question is this, though: are you still wrong? Because the premise was
I'm wrong.
It was
I'm
wait
wrong.
a second.
Yeah,
Hear me out.
I'm wrong.
Your premise, the way I took it was worth risking his career to play in that game. So he played in that game. So why would you back off of your statement? Because, you knew what could happen, and you still thought he should play. He played. It happened. But it was worth the risk would be the way I would take what you said.
And here's my answer. I don't know. I didn't know his situation. Would I risk it? Yeah, I would live to play. You go play the game. And you go, but I did not know his situation and how bad it was.
Yeah, you did. You did know that.
No,
everybody knew that.
Mike, they mask everything in the NBA. They tell you he has a calf strain. Calf strain is not.
Calf strains don't last a
tendon.
month, and we knew exactly what it was because if you read my article Sunday
you
morning.
Did
wait
you're
a second.
Genius. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I did because I did a little research and I found a quote from the trainer and the team doctor who all said, and this was on Sunday, that they doubted he would play the rest of this series. And the team doctor said if he does, he risks possibly tearing his Achilles completely. And this is my problem.
I just took accountability for my statement. Yeah, I took accountability for it.
But,
I was wrong.
But this is the thing. When he's playing with an injury, and I think you got to know what the injury is, and if you don't, you can't question him. But my problem with this, Lucas, is that the Golden State Warriors team doctor, team physicians allowed him to play.
Yeah. Mike, I'm completely with you. I think that should have had a lot more spotlight and attention.
And can I just say, I'm with you too, Mike. I'm with you too, Mike. So finish, Lucas. Mike, I'm with you on this one too, entirely.
And I just think that he shouldn't have played. And I think what the Warriors were spewing about a calf strain, it's just nonsense. I think that he had a minor Achilles injury when he injured it in Game 5 against Houston. They were masking it so that it a calf injury so that, people, are on the edge of their seats, is he going to play, is he not going to play?
Well, and they wanted the Raptors and the Rockets to have to prepare just in case.
Exactly. And I also think, too, I think Katie has some, internal pressure because this is someone who I've said before is the thinnest skinned superstar. He's reading about a lot of, people doubting his character, doubting this, and he sees his own teammates, Klay Thompson, Kevon Looney, Andre Iguodala, clearly hurt, come back. So I think he wanted to prove something. Unfortunately, now he has this injury, and teams in free agency, there's a risk taking Kevin Durant because you don't know if he's going to, when he comes back, he's going to be the same player.
And it might be after next year.
Exactly. So it's a real NBA-altering moment that just happened in that Game 5 with Kevin Durant going down with a ruptured Achilles.
Yeah, and how about this? I think what happens is he just takes the $30 million, signs with Golden State for next year. When the year's over, if he's healthy, then he tries the free agency.
Oh, okay. Can I interject here? Because I've done some homework on this. Lucas, do you know who Andrew Elliott is?
Andrew Elliott.
Do you know who David Chow is? Okay, Andrew Elliott is the leading orthopedic surgeon in New York. I researched this all this morning. Where is Kevin Durant going to get his ankle or his Achilles looked at?
Yeah,
he's going to Andrew Elliott in St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
David Chow is actually accredited by more professional sports. He's in San Diego. He's not going to San Diego. He's going to New York. Just what does that say? Does it say anything or nothing?
It says that maybe Andrew Elliott's better than David Chow.
No, David Chow is more credit.
How's that possible when you just said Andrew Elliott was ranked the best?
No, I'm saying one's on the East Coast, one's on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Where is Kevin Durant allegedly going to end up next year?
Well, they say New York, but I don't think that has anything to do with the doctor here.
You don't think that New York wouldn't want to sign off on him and say, yeah, we can fix this Achilles heel and do this? Or no, this is not fixable.
I don't think it matters. I think whatever doctor is going to tell you what you need to hear, and both of them are really good. So I wouldn't read that much into it.
All right.
Because if I'm Kevin Durant also, I don't want to go to a doctor that is close to New York because maybe I want to go to the one in San Diego, so maybe he won't tell them the same thing that the other doctor would. Because they don't know.
He's going to the one in New York.
Yeah, but in the end, Steve, with this injury, no matter how good the doctor is, you're still not going to know until almost a year later if it worked or not.
Yeah.
Right. But he's going to get checked out by a doctor in New York who probably is tied to the Knicks, I'm guessing. No, I'm actually more than guessing. He is tied to the Knicks.
Does he work for the Knicks?
So he's going over there. Huh?
Does he work for the Knicks?
Nobody. No. He's
not tied to the Knicks. If he doesn't work for the Knicks, he's not tied to the Knicks. Steve.
He examines the Knicks players. Okay? So.
I know.
He also does, probably the Nets and every other team over there. And I would say maybe there's a better connection that he's just connected with KD's agent. Would be my guess.
Okay. All right.
Because when you put in Andrew Elliott and NBA, you get absolutely nothing. So if he worked for one of those teams or the NBA, it would be. And I'm betting if you go on the New York Knicks site, the New York Knicks actually have a surgeon that does this for them. And I don't think it's Andrew Elliott because he would put it out. He would put it out there that he was.
It would be on the
website.
Yeah. Be on the Knicks website.
And when you looked
staff
it up,
directory.
well, put it like this: you looked him up, you did the research. Was there anything connecting him to the NBA or the Knicks?
Yes.
What connected him?
He's done work on professional sports athletes in New York City.
Well, that doesn't connect him to the Knicks. I mean, were they all New York Knicks that he worked on?
He's going to a doctor in New York.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not. It's not relevant. It's not relevant. It's really not relevant.
Well, it's relevant if you're right. That's what we're trying to figure out.
Well, yeah, and yeah.
All right. So when we look at the Game 5 that just happened, does that change your opinion on Leonard? What happened in the last 3 minutes of that game, Steve?
No, I think the kid's tired as hell.
Oh, well, shouldn't he be
he-
tough in
and-
your words? Listen.
I don't know that I've ever seen an athlete carry as much weight on his shoulders as Kawhi Leonard has carried on his shoulders. That's a strong statement to make. I get that. I just think that he has carried this team, carried this franchise, and he is the poster child of the NBA today. So I think he's just tired. And yeah, that's my point.
Okay. Lucas, what do you think?
Well, I put this one on Nick Nurse. I'm just shocked that he calls a timeout there. And I even said it to the people around me who I was watching with. I mean, you go on a 10-0 run, you're up 6, put the foot on the gas, and end the Warriors. The Warriors are reeling. They're running on fumes. They're out of gas. The Warriors are out of gas. And they're on their heels. When you call that timeout, you allow Steph and Clay to regroup and refocus and show their championship character. And that's what they did. Kawhi was great when he hit those 2 big threes. But then
they came out of timeout.
He only gets 2 points.
Yeah, they came out of the timeout, Lucas, and they got a terrible look at the basket with Kawhi.
Well, you're right. And Steph and Clay go on a 9-0 run, and look what happens. It's a whole new ball game. And if I'm Nick Nurse, instead of calling the timeout there, call the timeout with 15 seconds left to draw up a play for Kawhi. The last play of the game, you want the ball in your best player's hand. And to me, Kawhi should have just found a play to drive to the post, go for the layup, and it's pandemonium.
Yeah, and you throw Danny Green, who is a great shooter, on the wing, and if Leonard gets stopped, he comes up just like Jordan did to Paxson or Kerr, kicks the ball out, you got a wide open shot.
Exactly. So
Lucas, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
In the NBA, how important are coaches? Because is Kawhi Leonard more important than Nick, or who is more important here right now in the game?
Well, the players have to perform, but the coaches can't make dumb mistakes. And Nick Nurse, who I've agreed with you guys, I think up to that point, he has outcoached Steve Kerr in this series, especially with the box and one defense, slowing down Steph and Clay. The Raptors have played better than Golden State this series. But I think in that one moment, Nick got a little too cute, if you will. He thought his players were tired, but come on, it's the NBA Finals. Everyone's banged up. Put the foot on the gas and end this game. And the players have to perform, but of course Kawhi Leonard's important. Kawhi has to put up the points. He's important to the success of this team, and I think that the supporting cast is as well. It's what's carried them this far. But Nick Nurse needed to do better in that situation. I think this is a good wake-up call for the Raptors. And I think for a full 48-minute game, without Kevin Durant, the Raptors are the better team right now. So I'm not too worried.
Okay, so hang on. Let's go back to this now. 48 minutes. I think it's 48 minutes, isn't it, for an NBA game? 4 12-minute quarters, yeah. 48 minutes.
Times 4.
48 minutes. Kevin Durant goes down. You've lost your star player. One of your 2 star players, you've lost him. And Toronto cannot find a way at home to win this game. Speak to that.
Let me take this real quick. I think this. When you lose a star player, I think a lot of times it is an advantage for the team that loses during a game.
Exactly.
And then in Game 6, it becomes an advantage for the Raptors. Because if you're the Raptors, you kind of relax. KD's hurt. If you're the Warriors especially, I mean, it doesn't matter who is playing for the Warriors. As long as Klay Thompson and Steph Curry are on that court, they can beat you. And, Steve, you asked me before Game 4, if the Raptors are up 3-1, can the Warriors still win without Durant? I said yes, because Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are special, and they proved it. They took a 6-point lead and had a tie game in about 30 seconds later.
True.
Yeah. True. Yeah. No, very, very true. Very well said.
And that's why Steph Curry is still the best player on the court. But go ahead.
But this is a team. But let's be clear is that the Warriors got 20, over 20 threes. The Raptors only had 8 threes. I mean, and you could take it another way. The Raptors didn't play, their best, especially from 3. The Warriors were great from 3, and the Raptors only lost by 1 point.
Yeah, but remember this. The problem is this, Lucas. I know you're a Raptors fan, so you try to look at it from the good. So do I, because I want the Raptors to win. But, it's Golden State. They could come out and hit 25 threes in the next game, and it wouldn't shock me. The question is, what's Danny Green going to do? Because they defended Danny Green this game, and Danny Green didn't do anything. The rest of the roster that played for the Raptors all played pretty well. They all played good enough, so they should have won the game. If Danny Green just plays average in that game, they win that game.
Yeah. No, Danny Green's got to step up. And, he needs to put on a show like he did in Game 3, where he really had his shining moment of the NBA playoffs. And I also think, too, that Siakam has kind of disappeared ever since Game 1.
Yeah.
He's got to be better. And, but I just think it all comes down to how Steph and Klay play. If they're on, they're tough to beat. If they're not, the Raptors can win this. And,
the Raptors will win it if they're not on.
Go
ahead, Steve.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the Raptors are going to win this thing. I think they will. Here's my question for both of you. Does this thing stretch out too long? Is 2 weeks too long to do an NBA Finals? Should they not be playing back to back, going and getting after it?
Spreading out.
I don't think it's really spread out. The most days you have between games,
two, 3. Do you like 2, 3, and 2, or do you like 2, 1, 1, 1?
Huh?
What do you guys like?
You mean 2, 2, 1, 1, 1?
Yeah. It used to be 2, 3, and 2.
It was 2, 3, 2 until 1980.
80. Yeah.
6 was 2, 3, 2. 87 was 2, 3, 2. 88, 89. I don't know. When did 2, 2, 2 or when did 2, 2?
Yeah, it went back to 2. It went back to 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. And is that just too much travel time? Too much time spent in a hotel room for these guys?
How about this? The last 2-2-1-1-1, I think, was the 1984 NBA Finals, because me and Bobby 2 days ago talked about it for the On This Day, and I think from 85 to 2014, it went to 2-3-2, and then it went back to the 2-2-1-1-1.
Exactly.
Here's the interesting thing. In 1978, do you know that it was 1-1, 2-2-1?
Yes.
No, I did not know that.
That's because you don't listen to the Sheridan Report, because we had this on this day last week, and we talked about that. I think when you look at like 84, 85, I remember the 84 finals, there was sometimes 4 or 5 days in between games. I think this is fine. I think that you got to give them 2 days if you're 2-2, 1-1-1. Okay. I think the 2-2, 1-1-1 makes it more possible for the away team to be the victor also, Lucas.
But they all have private jets. They don't fly commercial. They don't get on a plane. Like, they don't go through baggage check. They get on a private jet. They're chauffeured into. They're immediately transferred to their hotel rooms, which they get per diem. Do we need to stretch it out this far?
Yeah, I think you have to for the safety of the players, or we'll get more guys tearing their Achilles. I mean, some of these games have been 1 day in between. The most I think it's been, correct me if I'm wrong, Lucas, is what, 2 days in between games? I mean, what's wrong with that? Because I also want these players at their best. No, I don't see anything wrong with that.
I love that. And the Stanley Cup Finals have also done that as well, which I think is fantastic. If you do, just 1 day off, it's not going to be the best quality. You want the best quality on the floor. That's my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. There's just a question.
Right.
I mean, I just don't agree.
Well, what do you think? You think they should have to play every day?
No, I think every other day is fine.
Every other day.
Get on an airplane, get on a private jet, go get your hotel room.
I don't see what a private jet.
What you're saying is you don't want the best quality on the floor, Steve.
Yeah.
Because if every other day, that's what happens.
Do you want every other day during the playoffs too?
Okay. So Lucas, do you not think that Kawhi looks tired? You don't think he looks tired?
So you want to shorten his rest and make it worse?
Yeah. So if you think he's tired, exactly, it would be a lot worse.
So you think spending 4 days in a hotel room?
They don't.
They don't, Steve.
Wait, they don't play till tomorrow.
Yeah, they play
on Monday. When was the last game played?
Monday.
Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Thursday.
Monday,
they
Tuesday,
got there
Wednesday,
Tuesday
Thursday.
afternoon. They probably practiced yesterday, and then they'll play on Thursday.
And they're sitting around in a hotel room in a city. All right.
And he's tired, so you would rather him just have to play immediately. I mean, you also got to realize this. Counting playoff games and finals, if you're just going 1 day in between every playoff game and every finals game, you're looking at guys counting preseason. These guys have played 100 games right now. I think there's a case to be made that maybe no game should be played with just 1 day in between. Maybe it should be 2 days between
the Eastern Conference Final, in the conference finals, it was every other day, and,
the quality of basketball was not good either.
No, it wasn't. It's much better basketball now than it was in, the conference final.
Well, you've got the 2 best teams playing right now. Of course, the quality of basketball is going to be better right now.
But it's not going to be if you're doing it on 1 day.
Come on, see, that's not necessarily true. You don't always have the 2 best teams playing in the final. It's just the 2 teams that got there.
You don't.
You saying you do? So in 1981, the Houston Rockets, who ended the season 41-41, were just as good as the Lakers. Because the Lakers won 58 games that year. They were the number 1 seed, but that's when the NBA used to do that dumbass short best-of-3 series, which is what bit the Lakers in the ass because they came in unprepared, lost game 1 at home, and ended up losing game 3 at home. I don't think you always get the best 2 teams. I don't think that we had the best 2 teams in the Super Bowl, do you? Because I think the Chiefs were better than the Rams.
The Colts weren't in the Super Bowl. The Colts and the Bengals weren't playing for the Super Bowl championship. So, no, the 2 best teams weren't in the Super Bowl.
No, because the Chiefs, I think, were a better team than the Rams. I think the Saints were better. Yeah, the Chiefs and Saints were both better than the Rams. Actually, the best Super Bowl, I think, would have been the Patriots and the Saints. Because you'd have had 2 great coaches, 2 great quarterbacks. You don't have that with the Chiefs and the Saints. I think the Saints would have actually beaten the Chiefs. just because I think Sean Payton's infinitely better than Andy Reid, which of course is why the Chiefs lost to the Patriots anyways. But all right,
I think both teams look tired. I think that.
Yeah. So why would you want to shorten the rest?
Because I think they're tired from staying in hotel rooms, from living outside of your. Mike, you've done that. Mike,
I'm not or that's Lucas. But yeah, I have done that, and I can tell you this.
No, you stayed in a hotel.
Yeah.
And it gets tiring to sleep in a hotel.
No, it doesn't.
To be uncomfortable.
No, it doesn't.
5-star hotel.
I can tell you this. If you look at the records of my teams won 90% of their games on the road. Probably 75 to 80% at home. And yeah, you can look it up. That's my winning percentage. But when when you look at this, I would much rather play. It's documented, so nobody can doubt it. But I would much rather play on the road than play at home. And, I mean, you keep telling me I'm nuts when I say that home court, home field doesn't matter. But we see it all the time. Last year, NFL championship games, the away team won both games. We've seen how many away teams win in hockey. We've seen how many. I mean, the St. Louis Blues have a losing home record, and they're one win on the road away from being the Stanley Cup champions. We watch Boston has lost, 2 games at home in the Stanley Cup finals. The Blues have lost 2. So I think people need to get over this home field advantage. The home field advantage matters when you don't have teams of equal rank. All right? When you got a 1 seed playing an 8 seed, yeah. But you know what? If the 8 seed was given home field advantage, the 1 seed's still going to kick their ass 90% of the time the way they do when they have the home. I would much rather go, because this is the thing. When I go on the road, there's no distraction. I'll give you this, Steve. In the NFL, when teams play home games, and the same thing in college. I mean, and you told me this before, Steve. At IU, home game, did you guys go to a hotel the night before the game?
No.
You told me you did.
No, we did my freshman year, but we stopped that. We went to the Popper Hotel.
But I can tell you this.
Was
NFL teams.
We stayed in our own apartments.
I think it's almost every NFL team, they go to a hotel room in the afternoon of the game, and they stay there. And why is that? Because there's no distractions. They turn the phones off. Nobody can call their rooms unless it's their wife with a problem.
Mike, it was a discussion. It was a discussion.
I never said it wasn't a discussion.
And no problem.
Yeah, I just wanted to discuss it.
I think Kawhi Leonard looks tired. I think this guy has carried the weight on his shoulders. I want Toronto to win this thing. I think it's good. I hope they do. I just think he's very tired as an athlete right now. He looks tired.
I'll tell you what, if being tired affects you from winning, you are a coward. And I don't think that affects him from winning. And I don't think that there is a player on this team.
And I hope you're right. You're right.
Well, see, you already predicted the Raptors, so I don't know why you would say, I hope you're right.
I mean, you should know you're right.
Yeah. I think this.
No.
I think
how
the Raptors.
Can you know you're right? Well, that's why you play the game.
Well, yeah, but you're not playing the game.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought that Golden State goes in there and wins by 1 point at Toronto, at Jurassic Park, at everything, and
because of the Warriors.
Yeah, because they've got Steph Curry.
They've won 3 of the last 4 years.
See, I've tried to explain this to Steve for the last few months.
But you're both picking Toronto to win this whole thing. So was that not the most perfect opportunity for them to win?
Well, no, the most perfect opportunity is now Game 6 because they didn't win Game 5. And if they lose Game 6, the most perfect opportunity.
So they're
is
going
Game
back.
7.
They're going back to Golden State to win. They're going to have to go back to Golden State and win Game 6.
And that's no big deal. Correct. It's on the road. That's the best place to do it.
So you not think this is going to Game 7? Lucas, is this going to Game 7? Lucas, is this going to Game 7?
My point is, before I make that
Lucas, is this going to Game 7?
All right. Can I talk, Steve? Thanks. My point is this.
Answer my question first, then you can talk.
Oh, my God.
Is this going to Game 7? We're not going to answer. Okay. All right. Talk.
Okay. Go ahead, Lucas.
Yeah, my point is this, is I agree with you, Mike, is that I think the game to win is Game 6, because if it comes back to Toronto, you spoke about it just now about the hoopla at being at home. The pressure will be all on the Raptors.
Hey, the St. Louis Blues showed us that too.
Exactly. I think the Raptors win Game 6. That's my prediction. It's not going to 7.
I think they
but
do
I wouldn't
too.
be surprised.
But if they let it get to Game 7, Steph Curry's a bad man.
Steph Curry and Klay Thompson could win it like they did Game 5.
Yeah.
And you don't want to put yourself in that position.
Because Thompson and Curry, and they've done it before, are both fully capable of coming out and dropping 38, 40 points each if they have to.
Exactly.
Don't make
It doesn't matter where they're playing.
No, it doesn't. When you're that good, it doesn't matter. Because let's face it, we've seen them lose 2 out of. They've lost 2 out of they've lost both home games that they played against the Raptors. Yeah.
All 3, if you count the regular season, Mike. If you count the regular season.
And they got blown out in that at a regular season game, didn't they? Was that the blowout, or was that the other game?
Them.
Yeah.
No. They killed them at Oakland.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and let's transition to some hockey. It's a hockey game, Steve. But Game 7 tonight, the Boston Bruins and the St. Louis Blues. There's a lot of numbers here. Most of those numbers will tell you that the Bruins should win this. The Bruins are 6-1 all time with an opportunity to clinch the Stanley Cup. That's the best record of any team in NHL history with a minimum of 5 chances. That also includes Game 7 of their final series, the last Game 7 played in Stanley Cup Finals history in 2011 against the Vancouver Canucks. Home teams are 12-4 in Game 7s. However, the past 2 home teams have lost Game 7. Vancouver in 2011 in the final, and the Detroit Red Wings in 2009 against the Pittsburgh Penguins. When we look at this, though, there are good numbers for the Blues. All right, because the Blues are 9-3 on the road this postseason, and Lucas, they've averaged over 3 goals a game on the road. Now, if you remember when I said that I think that this team is a much better road team because of their style of play, I would like to submit for evidence, Lucas, what their coach and a couple players said about that, because they all basically said the same thing the other day in the press conference.
Absolutely. If you listen to their press conference, they're confident, and I love that confidence. And this is a team that, like we've talked about, they've been playing playoff hockey since January. And the coach, Craig Berube, said, I mean, if you would ask us back then that we'd be in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals on the road, he'd take it. And this is a golden opportunity for both teams to show what they got. The 17th time in Stanley Cup Final history that's gone to a Game 7. The one thing I would say, Mike, is this. Their power play needs to be better. And the games that they've lost, their power play has really not been great. Now in a Game 7, do or die, I hope the referees aren't going to be as involved, especially the last game of the season. I hope they, do a decent job, but I'm not holding my breath. But this is a great opportunity. The top line in St. Louis needs to be at a really high level. Tarasenko, Schwartz, that line. Ryan O'Reilly's been great. I like the Blues in Game 7. And the thing about this is that every time Jordan Binnington is at a bad game, he's bounced back with a great game. And I think he's going to do that again tonight.
Yeah, and I think you talked about the penalties. I looked that up. The average total penalty minutes in Game 7s, there's been 61 since 2006, is an average of 7 minutes per team. So I think you'll see less penalties, and that means that I think the Blues are in much better shape here because the Blues are terrible on the power play, and I think they're a lot better when they're not rolling lines at 5-on-5 trying to establish their forecheck. I think that's when they're at their best.
Oh, for sure. Because they're the more physical team, and we've talked about this. They're the more, when they get on the forecheck, they can slow down Boston's top forwards, Bergeron, Pasternak, and Marchand. They're going to need to do that. But the big question, though, is, and to respond is, Tuukka Rask has been off the charts in elimination games this postseason. He's undefeated. He has over a .9 save percentage.
How about this? I think that the Conn Smythe Trophy should go to him, win or lose tonight.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, Mike, because I know a lot of NHL writers have been commenting that, and I would agree, and it would be unprecedented, but he has been the most valuable player on either team. I think if you take him off Boston, they lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, whereas if you take off a player in St. Louis, it's not the end of the world.
Unless it's Binnington.
Garage has been off the chart. Yeah, unless it's Binnington, for sure, obviously. But I think that Rask has really shown that, but I don't think they do that. It would be unprecedented, but I don't think they would do that.
It's happened 5 times in NHL history. The last time was in 2003 with the Mighty Ducks goalie.
True.
Sebastian Goria or something. Yeah, I can't say the French names. You can.
But yeah, we'll see. But I would agree. I'd be hoping for a great game, and I think that it's been a great hockey season, and nothing better than finishing in a Game 7.
Now, how about this with Rasko? And the question is, how good has he been in Game 7s? And he's 3-2 in Game 7s all time, and he's given up over 3 goals per game average, and his save percentage is just 87.7.
Fair enough.
You've got that playing against what his numbers in elimination games have been this year. So what's more important here, the numbers from Game 7s of the past or what's happened this year?
Well, I would say what's happened this year, because he's a completely different goalie this year. And as a player, you're focusing on the next game. You know, you don't necessarily care about the Game 7s of the past.
I disagree. I think you do.
He's beaten the Leafs in Game 7. That's all.
But it's the Stanley Cup Finals. His history is to have difficulties here. I think this. If he starts the game off fine, he'll be fine. If the Blues, and I think this is the key, if the Blues could score in the first 5 or 6 minutes and come out and attack him, kind of like they did the last game, but they didn't take advantage of it, if they could come out and score quickly on him, I think this. When people say that your history doesn't matter, it does, because when you're losing Game 7s like that, it stays with you. And sometimes that's hard to overcome, especially if something bad were to happen early in this game.
Look, he's not thinking about those Game 7s. They weren't for a Stanley Cup final. The thing about it is what his performance this postseason has been off the chart. And I think he's redeemed himself this postseason. I think that you could make a case that he's the best goalie in the NHL. And I think that, you know, they're different teams. Obviously, a goalie in hockey is very important, especially in the playoffs. But this is a different team than it was a few years back when they were in a Game 7. He's been in the Stanley Cup final before. When he lost to the Chicago Blackhawks, the Blackhawks were the way better team. And so your point's well taken, Mike, but he's not caring about what happened a few years ago. He's trying to win this hockey game. He's in front of the home crowd, and he's shown that he can rise to the occasion. And
I want to bring up Binnington also, Jordan Binnington, because the thing about him is we've seen him have bad games, but I don't think anybody bounces back. He's got the mindset, I think, of a Major League Baseball closer who gave up a home run the night before. He doesn't really care. And Binnington is 13-2 with a 1.83 goals against average and a .934 save percentage in games immediately following a loss. In the playoffs, he's 7-2, 1.86, .933 save percentage. So I don't think the fact that he had a poor game the last time out really matters much. And I don't think it was so much he had a poor game. I thought his team had a really poor third period.
Well, yeah. And, you know, Boston really put their foot on the gas. They were outplaying the Blues. And it's what I said off the top, Mike. I mean, it's why I think the Blues are going to win. Jordan Binnington's had an amazing ability to bounce back, and he's a great story. I think that, if they were to win, he's had a long and winding road to get to this moment. I remember him when he used to play in the Ontario Hockey League junior hockey. He was always someone who had a lot of potential, but goalies take a while to develop. And this is someone who he was given the opportunity of a lifetime to try to turn this team around, and look what he's done. So he's been fantastic. It's going to be a great goalie battle tonight. I don't think you're going to see a lot of goals scored. I think it's going to be very physical. It's going to be chippy. It's going to be fast. And I think the Blues win 2-1.
All right, so let's go ahead and Steve, who do you got in this game?
I want to root for St. Louis. Yeah.
Do you think to win?
So, St. Louis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next up, the United States Women's World Cup soccer team beat Thailand, squeaked by them 13-0. I think the big key here, Lucas, was them able to even keep Thailand out of field goal range to cut it to 10 at any point.
Yeah.
I mean, this was bad, and I'll go to Steve first because I know Steve's got an opinion. We have no clue what it is yet, but at 13-0,
I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Should they have taken their foot off the pedal? Should they have been diving into celebrations?
I thought that was a little tacky. I thought that was, they win with class, but win. The fact is, I researched this again this morning. The first tiebreaker in your pool is goals scored. So you put 13 points, 13 goals on the board, you're getting yourself in a position to win your pool and move forward. So, yeah, I didn't like the dancing and the celebrations at some point at 9-0, wherever it went on. I thought, okay, let's get above this. But how do you tell people you can't score 13-0? Goals scored is the first tiebreaker for advancing. What do you do here?
All right, Lucas, what do you think?
I think you got to separate the two. I think I'm fully on board with putting the foot on the gas. I think that, we've seen it in other sports and regular season games. I love it. If you're the better team, kick their ass, as far as I'm concerned. And the United States, this is why they're the favorites for a reason. Put the foot on the gas, show, a really inferior country that you're better.
An inferior team. You can't call them an inferior country. That's mean, rude, and racist, Lucas.
Well, a team country, same thing.
I'm just kidding, Lucas. We know what you're talking about.
But yeah, I think that I'm fine with good celebrations at the end of the game when you win. But it's the first game of a round robin. I mean, this is not like it's the championship or an elimination game. Steve's right. Show some class. And, put the foot on the gas. Still, beat up an opponent. But, it's like bat flipping when you're up 15-1 in a ball game. I mean, you're already destroying them. You don't need to add more salt to the wound.
Why not?
Win in a classy way, and celebrate when these games matter. If it was 13-0 in the championship game, do that. Celebrate. It's the championship, but round robin game against a country that you're going to beat. Come on.
All right. If this was the same men's World Cup,
Lucas.
Go ahead.
Lucas, how much effort or how much emphasis do you put on most points scored is the tiebreaker?
Steve, I think it's safe to say if they got 7, it would have put them in pretty good shape.
Yeah, like it doesn't, Like
but do you want 7 or do you want 13?
I want 20.
Do you want to be in good shape or do you want to win?
That's what Lukas said. Lukas said you never take your foot off the gas.
Right.
See, if you're better.
Here's my other question. World Cup, and again, this is only sports where I'm not the genius on. Does everybody play in World Cup, or do you have to qualify for World Cup? So I remember a couple times the U.S. men's team didn't qualify.
Yeah, you got to qualify.
You got to qualify.
Okay, so why is Thailand in this tournament?
Because this is women's sports, and this is the thing. I don't have a problem with women's sports, but the thing that bites women's sports in the ass when it comes to popularity is lack of depth.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a shot at the women playing the sports. I just think this. It's like college basketball when Tennessee, UConn are dominating. To me, it's kind of like when UCLA dominated in the 60s. There wasn't a whole lot of depth. That depth will be developed the more popular it becomes. And this will be a tournament, I think, 20 years from now. You won't see somebody so outmanned or outwomaned or whatever you call it that they're getting beat 13-0. But I think overall, the reason women's sports doesn't have a huge following or huge interest, I'll equate it to boxing. You got Clarissa Shields. She walks around telling everybody she's the greatest woman of all time. She wins a championship in her second professional boxing match, but there's only like 15 women that even fight professionally in her class. So I think that the problem is women were held out of playing sports for so long that I think they're just 50 years behind, and it's more like what men's sport were, where you had dominant teams like UCLA in the 60s because you only had so many great players, Lukas.
I think that's a good point. And, you're right. I mean, and I think that the disparity gap in a sport like women's soccer is a lot greater than something like men's soccer. Like in the World Cup in men, you would never see this. Like I would think that 5-0, 5-0.
Yeah, that's a blowout.
Would be a blowout. That would be the equivalent.
How about this, Lukas? Let's compare it to something you like, and I like Olympic hockey. If you remember 1980, the Miracle on Ice, the thing that sticks out to me was, if I remember right, the Russians played like Japan or somebody like that in the preliminaries during the Olympics before, because they played to get the top 2 from each thing into the gold medal round. And I remember Russia beating teams like Japan and like that 13-0, 18-1. And I think it's the same thing there. Those countries had not developed that sport, and other countries hadn't developed it yet. So what you got is Thailand is probably about 30 or 40 years at least behind, and money-wise, probably worlds behind places like the U.S., Canada, China, Japan right now.
Exactly. Well, if you look at hockey, I'm a big follower of the World Junior Hockey Championship. And when you look at that tournament, it used to be a Canada-Russia tournament because Canada and Russia were the two big
and occasionally the Czechoslovakians or the U.S.
Exactly.
And that was Sweden, Finland, but outside of those 6 countries, it wasn't a big deal. But now you got teams like Slovenia, Slovakia that put up fights.
Switzerland, Latvia. I mean, now you're seeing a lot more countries because they're putting a lot more investment. And as you say, Mike, correctly, they're developing more players. So this is just a case where I think that, if you look 20 years from now, 30 years from now, you're going to see way more competition, and the disparity gap will close, and you're not going to see kills like America beating Thailand 13-0.
Yeah, and it may not be beating Thailand 13-0. It may be a country you're not even thinking about that steps up, puts the money in, passes Thailand, and puts themselves into the conversation. Switzerland, I mean, I remember Switzerland back in the day, late 70s up through the late 80s, probably even into the 90s. If they qualified for the Olympics, you knew they were going to come out and they were going to get beat 8-0 every time they played.
Yeah. And now you put them in hockey, they're a tough out now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a perennial dark horse, and you don't want to face a team like Switzerland because they've just put the resources into developing good hockey players.
But all right, Steve, anything else before we wrap it up?
No.
Lucas?
Let's have a good Game 7 tonight. And go Raptors for tomorrow, hoping they can pull it out on the road.
All
I
right,
don't think my heart can take a Game 7.
I don't know if my wallet can. All right, guys. Man, I gave a 1.5, or I was given a 1.5 on my bet on the Bet DSI, where you get 100% cash back bonus if you put in TGT when you go there. And if I would have waited like an hour more, I would have gotten a 1.5, and then I would have won. But what the hell?
It's always
all
next
right,
game.
Guys, we're going to wrap it up. We want to make sure you check out Seat Giant, which you can click on the Seat Giant logo about halfway down the side of the page on thegrillingtruth.com. You get a discount on your tickets if you want to go to Game 7 tonight. You can get a 5% off, which probably the price of those tickets, 5%, would be a significant chunk off right now. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Me and Bobby will be here in approximately 35 minutes for the Sheridan Report. IU basketball show tonight, Steve?
Yeah, we have Landon Turner on tonight.
All right.
One of the true legends of Indiana basketball.
Yeah. And we're going to ask him
teammate of mine, and
we're going to ask him. We're going to ask you for an embarrassing story about Risley, Lucas, and see what he comes up with.
There's a million of them. There are a million. Of them.
You know, Risley, when we get off, is immediately going to call Landon and say, "Whatever you do, don't tell him about this one, this one, this one, or this one. You can tell him that one. That one's not too bad." All right,
no.
The Indiana Basketball Weekly show tonight. Steve Risley, Landon Turner. Make sure you check that out. Inside Boxing Daily will probably be on after the Stanley Cup Finals Game 7, because I want to watch that, unless it ends up being 5-1. Then we'll be on at 11. I want to remind everybody you can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you find sports podcasts. You'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Lukas Weese, Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.